What's the real truth behind some of the world's most baffling archaeological discoveries? How do we even begin to decode ancient mysteries that barely make sense today? In many cases, the answers simply don't exist, or at least, not yet. But that hasn't stopped experts, theorists, and curious minds from digging deeper. And sometimes, in trying to explain the unexplainable, we uncover stories more fascinating than the facts. So stick around as we explore the 15 most mysterious artifact finds experts still can't explain, and trust us, each one is out of this world. Let's start off with number 15, the Cascajal Block. The Cascajal Block was discovered in 1990 in Veracruz, Mexico, not through excavation, but in a pile of construction debris. It's a flat slab of stone, covered in carved symbols unlike anything seen before in Mesoamerican archaeology. Some scholars believe it represents the first known writing system in the Americas, created by the Olmec civilization around 1000 BCE. That would make it centuries older than any previously known script in the region. But not everyone agrees. The circumstances of the find and the unusual layout of the glyphs, spread in rows that don't follow known writing patterns, have led some researchers to question its authenticity. The surrounding figurines and ceramics support an early date, but the block itself stands alone. Some of the glyphs look like birds or animals. Others are abstract and harder to classify. The repetition of certain symbols could indicate words or names, or not. Debate continues, with little chance of resolution unless a second artifact like it turns up. For now, the block remains controversial. Number 14, Bronze Buddha. In northwestern Australia, two filmmakers using metal detectors to search for remnants from early French expeditions stumbled upon something they weren't looking for. A small, heavy bronze statue believed to be a depiction of Buddha. The statue could date to the Ming Dynasty, which spanned from 1368 to 1644. If that's accurate, it could be evidence of Chinese contact with Australia centuries before European explorers arrived. However, the theory is contested. Some scholars argue the statue may have been brought over much later, possibly by Chinese pearlers in the late 19th or early 20th century. Still, the possibility ties into broader claims about the Ming treasure fleets and their global voyages in search of minerals and trade. Former Chinese President Hu Jintao once asserted those fleets reached Australia in the early 1400s. Whether this statue supports that claim remains unsettled. Its discovery adds to the growing list of objects that don't quite fit into the accepted narrative of Australia's early history, and that's what makes it hard to ignore. Number 13. The Sabo Sword. The Sabo Sword, also called the Thermo Sword, was found in 1825 at Sabo Seventh in Norway's Sogn region. What makes it unusual is the remains of metal thread on both sides of its upper hilt. The blade itself is fragile, and its inscription is barely preserved. Still, experts believe this could be the only known Viking-era sword with a runic inscription directly on the blade. That inscription, made using iron inlay close to the hilt, was studied by George Stevens, a British archaeologist who specialized in Scandinavian runes. He sketched the sword and identified 5 runes or rune-like characters along with a swastika symbol, which he associated with Thor. His interpretation of the runes was "owned by me." The inscription's meaning is still debated, but the presence of a swastika, rare for Viking blades, makes this find stand out. Whether the sword was ceremonial or belonged to a warrior with deep religious beliefs, its exact purpose and origins remain open to interpretation. Number 2. Silver Caesars. The Silver Caesars are a set of 12 elaborate silver gilt cups, each one representing a Roman emperor described in the ancient text The 12 Caesars by Suetonius. These cups aren't ancient Roman, they're Renaissance masterpieces from the 16th century. Each one features a central figure of an emperor and 4 scenes from his life, all crafted in incredible detail. The artistry is unmatched, yet no one knows who made them. There's no signature, no clear record of commission, and no documentation of their early history. The first time they're mentioned is in the 1603 inventory of Cardinal Pietro Aldobrandini, but they were likely created earlier. Some differences in style across the cups suggest they weren't all made by the same hand. Despite their beauty and the attention to historical detail, they exist without a known origin. That absence of information is what makes them mysterious. Objects of such precision and value should have left a trace. But these didn't. They just appeared, fully formed as if dropped into history. Number 11. The Ring. In North Norfolk, a metal detectorist uncovered a 3,000-year-old gold penannular ring in September 2022. Though discovered then, it wasn't officially reported until March 2023. The ring is gold-plated over a metal core and displays a high level of Bronze Age craftsmanship. It's not a finger ring, and its use remains uncertain. It might have been worn on the ear or nose, but how it was attached isn't known. Only about a dozen similar rings have ever been recorded. Helen Geek, a finds liaison officer, commented that Bronze Age metalworkers were seen almost like wizards for their ability to manipulate metal using fire. She also noted that this period marked the first known metalwork in the UK. The Norfolk coroner has opened an inquest into the find, and the Norwich Castle Museum has shown interest in acquiring it. Until then, it remains an object of speculation, a mysterious piece of jewelry from a time when metal itself was still seen as magical. Number 10. Monstrance. In March 2023, a monstrance was found buried in the forest district of Łąkot, Poland. The object, tied to Catholic rituals involving the display of the Blessed Sacrament, was discovered by Klaus Kulak during a planned archaeological survey. It was broken into 3 pieces and intentionally hidden. The artifact, made of gilded and silvered brass, is believed to date to the 19th century. Though relatively recent, its burial raises questions. Researchers from the Łąkot Museum are trying to determine its origin and what church it once belonged to. The find was made with the cooperation of local conservation authorities. After uncovering the artifact, officials approved a full excavation. It remains unclear why such a religious item from the 1800s would be buried, or who might have done it. Despite being only about 200 years old, the monstrance's story is unknown, and its presence underground adds a layer of mystery to what should have been a well-documented church item. Number 9. Topless statues. In 2005, while repairing a water pipe in Apopka, Florida, workers uncovered something completely unexpected: 3 stone statues of topless women, each wearing ornate headdresses and jewelry, and carrying urns. Nearby, a large stone head was also found. The statues were heavy, carved from volcanic rock, and definitely not native to Florida. With no clear explanation, they were temporarily placed in the backyard of the local museum. A decade later, a visit from a University of Florida art historian helped identify their likely origin: East Java. The statues are believed to be over 1,000 years old. How they ended up buried in central Florida is still unknown. There's no record of their transport or arrival, and they don't match any documented import or donation. Eventually, the city donated the statues to the Harn Museum, where they're now properly housed. Their presence in Florida remains unexplained, a group of ancient Southeast Asian carvings with no known journey or reason for being where they were found. Number 8. The World Map. The Wanli Emperor of the Ming Dynasty owned a massive world map unlike anything found in Europe at the time. Displayed on a 6-panel folding screen, it featured more than 850 place names, longitude and latitude lines, and small written legends describing various kingdoms, islands, and continents. The map was created by an Italian Jesuit missionary working with a Chinese geographer. It portrayed the world as far larger than the emperor had previously known. The title of the map was Comprehensive Chart of the Myriad Lands on the Foundation of the Earth. At some point, the map appears to have been altered. One section originally labeled between the 15th and 42nd parallels was erased and replaced with wave patterns. This change, whether recent or historical, undermines claims that China historically controlled the Spratly Islands. The original map showed that Chinese territory ended at the Paracel Islands in 1608. The edit may have been made to support a more modern version of historical claims. Number 7. The hooded figures of ancient Europe. Across Europe, carved into rock walls and standing in forgotten landscapes, are mysterious stone figures cloaked in heavy hoods. They appear in triplets or alone, never in even-numbered groups. Archaeologists call them genii cucullati, Latin for hooded ones. These silent sentinels are found in places as far apart as Hadrian's Wall in Britain and valleys deep in the European continent. Their origins are uncertain. No names, no inscriptions, no clear purpose. Some believe they're Celtic guardian spirits. Others think they mark sacred water sources or places of ritual. No artifacts, no graves, no offerings have ever been found alongside them. Without tools or text to provide context, theories pile up but never land. Their design is simple: rounded heads, cloaked bodies, faceless but distinct, strangely consistent across regions, cultures, and centuries. Who they were or what they symbolized remains lost to time. But they were placed there for a reason, and whoever carved them did so with intention. The silence around them only makes them more unsettling. Number 6. Swan Pot. Construction work in the Chinese city of Senmenexia accidentally led to the discovery of a previously undisturbed grave. Inside it was a bronze pot shaped like a swan, still sealed and still containing nearly 3,000 milliliters of liquid. The grave is believed to be over 2,000 years old, and the burial also included an iron sword, a bronze helmet, and a jade ceremonial blade, indicating the deceased was likely a soldier. What sets this pot apart from similar finds is that it's the only one of its kind found in that region, and the liquid inside hasn't yet been identified. Described as yellowish-brown and containing visible impurities, it might be wine, or it might be something far more unusual. Some have suggested it could be an early medicinal formula, or even a version of the elusive elixir of life from ancient Chinese texts. Until proper chemical testing is completed, no one can say for sure. The pot remains sealed and preserved, holding on to a mystery that stayed hidden for 2 millennia. Number 5. Two-faced men. 2 murals depicting two-faced men were uncovered inside a ceremonial hall of the Moche culture in Peru. These artworks are around 1,400 years old and are decorated with detailed imagery, including one figure holding a goblet from which hummingbirds appear to drink, possibly a symbol of ritual or sacrifice. The Moche believed in complex cosmic realms, and this may reflect those beliefs. Some experts suggest the artists were experimenting with showing motion or overlapping moments in time. The murals were created between 550 and 800 CE, when the Moche thrived along Peru's northern coast. The civilization is known for its temple building, human sacrifices, and distinctive art, including goblets shaped like human heads. The two-faced figures may represent gods, but they look entirely human aside from their double faces. The murals were found in Panamarca, an architectural site in the Napena Valley. Despite over 60 years of research there, many parts of the site remain unexplored. The murals only deepen the site's long-standing mysteries. Number 4. Dogs and pigs. At the Batman Museum in southeastern Turkey, named after the nearby city, not the comic book hero, archaeologists unearthed what might be the world's oldest board game. It dates back 5,000 years. The board and pieces were discovered during excavations in the Sayurt province, and the museum staff nicknamed the game Dogs and Pigs because some pieces resemble those animals. The true name and rules are completely unknown. No similar games have been found anywhere else. The board is carved and marked with deliberate patterns, and the individual pieces are shaped with care, suggesting the game had structure and purpose. Some historians compare it in age to games like Go in China or Senet in Egypt, though it appears entirely unrelated to either. Without instructions or a written record, the rules can't be reconstructed. It's unclear if it was a game of luck, strategy, or something ceremonial. All we know is that it once held meaning for a people long gone, and now it sits behind glass, silent and unsolved. Number 3. British tokens. In May 2020, While magnet fishing in a river in Coventry, England, a man named Will Reed pulled out something unexpected: over 60 small metal cubes. Each was etched with detailed Sanskrit-like inscriptions and numerical patterns. At first he assumed they were tiles, but the more that came up, the stranger they seemed. With no immediate answers, he turned to online communities for help. Several responses suggested they were linked to an old Hindu ritual involving water offerings, where such cubes, sometimes called British tokens, were tossed into rivers as a form of spiritual blessing. The symbols on the cubes might represent encrypted prayers, possibly meant to invoke protection from a deity named Rahu. But that interpretation has never been formally verified, and no historical documentation supports it with certainty. No one knows how the cubes ended up in that specific river, or how long they'd been there. Without context or a clear trail, the cubes remain unclassified, curious objects with no confirmed origin, floating between folklore and the archaeological record. Number 2. The Astronaut of Cáceres. Tucked away in the town of Cáceres, Spain, there's a weathered granite stele bearing a humanoid figure with an oversized, rounded head. Locals call it the Astronaut of Cáceres, and it's wrapped in legend, confusion, and more than a few raised eyebrows. For decades, the stone sat unnoticed, even used in part of a cemetery wall. Its inscription remains unreadable, an indecipherable blend of Latin letters and something older, maybe Indo-European, maybe something else entirely. Some believe it depicts a warrior from the Celtiberian period, about 2,200 years ago. Others think it's evidence of something much stranger. What's undeniable is the hold it has on the community. People still cross themselves when they walk past it. The details carved into the stone are deliberate, with a figure that seems purposeful, helmeted or not. Without a reliable translation of the text, there's no way to say what the artist meant to show. Well, whatever it is, it wasn't meant to be forgotten. And yet it almost was. Number 9. Bronze Age cooking pits. Back in 2017, archaeologists near Varberg, Sweden, uncovered a cluster of around 80 pits dug deep into the earth. At first glance, they looked like random holes in the ground, nothing that screamed significance. But under closer analysis, a different story unfolded. These pits dated back to the Bronze and Iron Ages and were once used for large communal feasts. Instead of cooking food on open fires, ancient people filled these pits with heated stones, laid meat or other ingredients on top, and sealed them with grass or turf to trap the heat. Think of it as slow cooking, prehistoric edition. Food remnants found inside confirmed their purpose. What makes this discovery truly strange, though, is the complete lack of nearby settlements or burials. Whoever used these pits didn't live there. They traveled out to this remote spot just to cook and celebrate. No houses, no pottery, no markers of daily life, just ovens in the wild, and a mystery no one's managed to solve. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon in the next one.